Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest new chapter was awesome. Like, legitimately, this sets up what Ignia's plan is. We get some more really cool action, and we get Natsu essentially confronting Ignia in this chapter. And I can't wait to jump right into everything, because this was great. Also, 100 Years Quest anime is coming out July 7th, so I cannot wait for when the anime officially returns. I got some 100 Years Quest videos planned in between chapter reviews for the anime as well, so look forward to those. So, Fairy Tail content still chugging along with as much energy as I got, and it's a lot. But before we jump into this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. But enough of the preamble. Let's jump right into this chapter. Chapter 161 of 100 Years Quest, titled Flaming Reunion. Cover image, Mest, with Wendy and Carla in the background. Carla's look in her eye is exactly me and many other readers by having to see Mest again. Legitimately, nobody likes Mest. We cut back from where last chapter left off, where Gray managed to hit Raj and knock him out. He's wondering who this guy is, as Happy and Carla state that he's a member of Fire and Flame and he fights them using fire illusions. Lucy says, do all of them use fire magic? And Wendy brings up the idea of a bunch of Natsus, and this just puts a chill down Gray's spine. Please don't tell me this. And I just love how everyone's kind of like scared and freaked out at the fact of having more than one Natsu. I find that hilarious. Only person that kind of wants that is Happy because he thinks it'd be fun. We get an image of Lucy stating that she wished she still had Aquarius. And yeah, if she had Aquarius, that would be really great to take on a bunch of fire users. Which I'm still holding to the fact right now, and I'm calling it now, she's going to find the Aquarius key in this arc. Whether it's going to be her or Brandish who finds the key. That would be an interesting twist. But yeah, she still has her Aquarius dress to use Aquametria, but I think she's implying her power won't be as strong unless she has Aquarius with her as a summon, so that would be interesting. We then get a huge explosion off in the distance as they're wondering what the heck is going on. Now that is from the direction of the harbor where Urza is currently fighting Wed. Everyone begins to run off because they're worried about Urza. But they leave Raj alone as he wakes back up instantly laughing, saying that it's interesting. So, Raj not out for the count, surprisingly enough. I was just thinking of him as just a glass cannon because his power is illusion magic. It's more skilled towards assassination attempts or just long, prolonged death for characters that he wants to take out. That's what I was thinking. And the fact that he didn't seem super skilled in actual combat, that he was just there for stealthier takeouts. But he seems to be a lot more durable. He was just knocked out for a second. He might have just been playing dead, waiting for them to leave, for all we know. That's actually pretty interesting, and it shows that Raj wasn't as big of a pushover as I initially put him to be. Okay, so that's fine. I don't mind it. We then cut back to the fight with Urza and Wed. The two of them continue their intense fight, managing to parry each and every one of their blows. Urza, making a decision I really think is kind of stupid, re-equips out of her Flame Empress armor, which I don't know why you would do that. That gives you an advantage in this fight. But she changes into her Armadura Fairy armor, stated to be her most powerful armor, which doesn't really have that many effects. I think it's more of a mental thing, like it's one of her favorites and she views it as her strongest armor. But she lunges forward towards Wed, and she then uses heavenly body magic to enchant her sword, making it stronger, giving it a whole massive amount of force, using the Fairy Sword Shooting Star attack, managing to hit Wed. But Wed manages to block it and then parries it again, stating that Urza is fast. Wed then charges up his blade and says, Killer Flame High King Sword, lunging it right at Urza. And in that instance, a huge explosion with the ground crumbling beneath them happens, blowing Urza away with the debris. And even knocks out a good chunk of the port town as well, causing a lot of collateral damage. Urza gets up and notices that her armor is broken. And yeah, she says that this is her strongest armor, but Wed, like us, knows that that's not her when she's at her strongest. He states, you're strongest when you're bare.
What do you mean by that?
As Urza just thinks of her seduction armor. You know, I appreciate it, Mashima. We don't get Urza's seduction armor. I'm okay with this issue of fan service. I think we all are. And Urza's kind of embarrassed also because she's thinking of that armor that she has, which isn't even an armor. But Wed clarifies saying, in only Hakama, which he's referring to Urza's clear heart armor, where it's just more so a traditional Japanese clothing, basically how she's been fighting whenever she goes in for a final blow. We all know her fairy heart armor. It's not really much of an armor, but it showcases she just goes for absolute offense. And yeah, that's literally what armor she goes to when she finishes off a fight. That is technically her strongest, essentially. But Urza says, it sounds like you looked into me a lot. As Wed says, Pandemonium, crushing the Scarlet Despair, and even beating the Signario sisters. As he lists off her taking out the 100 monsters at the Grand Magic Games, managing to take out her mother and the Signario sisters, stating that she's certainly number one with a sword in Ishgard. My sword will cry if I don't cut you down. Now, I do like how the reason he knows how Urza is at her strongest is that all of these big moments, her big wins that she's had so far that people would most likely know about, she was wearing her clear heart, so makes sense. And the Signario sisters being beaten makes sense because they're from the same guild as Wed. And Wed gets ready to attack Urza once more, as Urza gets serious once more with that mean look in her eye. But in that instance, they are interrupted by what seems like a big flying fire bird calling out for Wed, as it then flies in between them and crashes into the ground. As Wed recognizes this as someone named Misfortune, as they come up from the ground, stating, I got a message for you, Weddy. A funny nickname for Wed, as we get to see Misfortune, member of Fire and Flame, a flaming cat with wings. Now, either this is a magical creature that's made out of fire, or it's an Exceed that learned fire magic and is now constantly on fire. That would be really cool. And here's the thing, Wed used the word dono, which is a Japanese honorific for meaning lord or master, which would mean that Misfortune is probably high up, at least for Wed, in terms of the hierarchy for Fire and Flame, despite Wed being its number 2. So I'm curious, it could just be more of an advisory role, because it doesn't seem like Misfortune can fight right now, considering the clumsy nature of entrance. But that would be an interesting thing to add in. But yeah, Misfortune says, you gotta come home. It's starting sooner than we thought, as Wed pauses. And I like how Urza's just being like, wait, a cat? And Misfortune's being very casual with Urza, calling her Urzi, saying, nice to meet ya. But Wed then just clenches their fists in just disappointment, being like, if that's happening, that's even more reason for me to settle this while I have the chance. Showcasing that this is most likely having to do with Ignia's plan. Now, this is most likely going the route that this fight is just going to end in a draw some way, somehow, based on what's going on with the information that Wed has been given. But Wed wants to continue this fight, so I'm curious to see how this is going to play out, especially with Gray, Lucy, and Wendy coming in to most likely try and help Urza. But no time to think about that, because we cut back to the Fire God's castle, as we then see Lekka and Brian back in front of Ignia in all of his glory, stating that they brought who he was wanting to see. As Brian opens up the hat that had a mouth and spits out Natsu, with Natsu just getting up, being enraged, being like, oh, what do you think you're doing, you jerks? Fine, I'll fight all three of you. Come at me together. But Natsu stops in that moment, sensing who is here, turns around, and meets Ignia, with Ignia welcoming him to his castle. As Natsu's shocked to see Ignia, we see that he's there with, obviously, Brian Lekka, but also the Signario sisters, as they're watching Natsu meet, essentially, his adoptive older brother. Ignia says, I summoned you here to give you one last chance, stating Natsu Dragneel, the wizard my father Igniel deemed worthy of his attention. Would you like to join us? Natsu's a bit confused, as Ignia begins to clarify. The Dragon King Festival will soon begin. I'll permit you to join our side for it, as this shocks Natsu, as the Dragon King Festival is very important in the context of Fairy Tail. I'm going to elaborate into that in a second, but Ignia states, not the one you experienced. Let's just call this one the True Dragon King Festival. This strikes something in Natsu as he says, True Dragon King Festival. He knows what this means as he clenches his fist. Ignia says, come join us, Natsu. let's destroy the humans together. But in an instant, he's cut off as Natsu closes the distance and manages to punch Ignia square in the face with a burning fist. With the next page showcasing the Fire and Flame members shocked that Natsu did this, as Ignia, unfazed, with a grin on his face, says, "I see. You're one of the humans we'll be destroying." Ending the chapter. So, there's a lot for me to unpack with this. Now, if you remember, the Dragon King's Festival refers to what happened when Acnologia went on his rampage 400 years ago to try and exterminate the dragons, and the eventual bloodbath that ended up happening. But when Ignia says not the one you experienced, I think he's talking to both the fact that Future Rogue tried to bring out a bunch of dragons to try and fight Acnologia, which caused a literal Dragon King's Festival. I mean, not in the sense, a fake one, but primarily the fight with Acnologia is most likely what he's referring to as well for Natsu. So yeah, Dragon King's Festival, very important thing in the lore of Fairy Tail, as it is a major historical event in the series, and is something that was pseudo-experienced by Natsu when he fought Acnologia, as well as the dragons just appearing in the capital of Fiore at the end of the Grand Magic Games. Now, obviously that's not the actual Dragon King's Festival, but it was stated to make a new one that Future Rogue wanted to try and do for his own reasons. But the fact that Ignia says True Dragon King's Festival implies that Ignia is going to try and create another war with the humans and the dragons. Now, while some dragon gods are gone, and doesn't seem like there are any dragons so far in Fire and Flame, it implies that Ignia wants to wipe out anybody who essentially is going to be in his way, primarily the humans. And I think he's gathering all these fire wizards to essentially go all scorched earth, get rid of everybody as quickly as possible, and have his own league of minions to kind of worship him in a sense. Now, I'm not entirely sure, there could be more to this new Dragon King's Festival, but this is really insane to really think about. Ignia wants to redo what Acnologia did centuries ago, but with him as the epicenter, essentially. And I cannot wait to see how this plays out and what this could mean for the future of Fairy Tail. But there's still more we gotta know about Ignia, and more we gotta know about what he means by the True Dragon King's Festival that he's got planned, and how he plans to initiate it, and why he needs all these fire wizards. But that's really all gonna be from me for this chapter review of Fairy Tail. I'm looking forward to the future chapters. We're mostly gonna get more stuff about Ignia, about this Dragon King's Festival, and some more matchups. And I need a little bit more information because I don't want to just make a video on this revelation just yet. Because for all I know, next chapter is going to give me even more information for the Dragon King's Festival. And I don't want to just make a video for nothing. But that all said and done, what did you guys think of this chapter? How do you feel about Ignia's true goals being revealed? What do you think about this idea of the new Dragon King's Festival? And how do you think the fight between Wed and Urza is going to play out as well? Are they just going to end it right here as a draw, Wed going back to base? Or is Wed going to ignore orders and continue to fight Urza with all his might until the rest of the group shows up? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really does help, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. We keep going at this pace. The Ignia hype video I made months ago is really paying off. And it really seems like Mashima is going to deliver with this villain.